Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Samra and today we're going to be talking about my April wrap-up. So I'm recording this video a little bit late because things came up and I had a sudden trip. So I had to kind of push videos around a little bit for this week and my schedule became a little bit hectic. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first book I finished in April was Half a Soul. Half a Soul is a historical romance fantasy. It's a very light-hearted fantasy reading, actually. It was perfect for my first read of the month because it drew me out of my reading slump. To tell you again what this is about very quickly, Half a Soul is the first book in the Regency Fairy Tales trilogy written by Olivia Atwater. It was published in 2020. This book is about a girl named Dora who's cursed by a fairy and she loses half her soul. So because she doesn't have a complete soul, she doesn't feel embarrassment, fear. She doesn't feel extreme emotions. She just feels them very, very on the down low. And this gives her problems in the society of that time. There's also Elias, Lord Sorcia, who's a court magician. He's a very rude character and I really liked him also. Theodora or Dora causes a lot of problematic situations in the society of her time because of her not having a complete soul. And the story is about that. The story is about how she's gonna, go about this problem of hers. So as I was saying, Half a Soul is very lighthearted. It's a very good choice if you're feeling you don't want to read intricate magic systems, you don't want to read dark fantasies, you don't want to read something heavy. You're just looking for something very light to read about at the moment. I think you should pick up this book. If the synopsis is interesting to you, it was to me, and I don't regret my decision. I gave this book 4 stars. I read it very fast. I don't remember exactly, maybe 2 days. Maybe 2 sittings, I don't know. The first half of the book was very fast, very funny. The characters are very lovable. They're they're not the cliche kind of character you meet in fantasy books, especially the female characters that we see these days. Dora is not one of those. She's real. She feels very natural to me. And Elias as the male character is also a very interesting character. He has this unthinkable character. In that time frame in Regency England, he just clashes so much with the setting that the book kind of becomes funnier because of him. So yeah, the story was interesting, the characters were good and lovable, and there's also social commentaries. This book, very briefly, touches upon matters of social class, ignorance of people, how to go about it. Also, she talks briefly about mental health. These are very on the backside of the story. But Olivia Atwater does bring these issues into her book as well. And I really like that. It kind of makes the story more valuable to me. To be honest, I was really enjoying the book. The tone changes a bit towards the end, and that kind of pushed my rating stars a little bit lower than I initially planned to give this book. But it didn't hurt the story. It didn't. I just wished that the ending was a bit different, but it was still fine. That part I'm talking about was very short. Kind of get past through it very fast, so it didn't ruin my experience of reading this book. It didn't affect it that much. I just wish it was a bit more differently done. But overall, Half a Soul was a perfect first read for my April. It was a perfect opening chapter to my month. I really loved it, and I do recommend it if you're interested in the story. It's a good book. It's worth your read. Give it a shot. The second book I finished. Hang on. Okay, so the next book I finished was The Silent Patient. I really postponed reading this book because I was waiting for it so much, and then it sat on my shelf for a very long time. But I finally read it, and I'm not regretting it. This was a very, very good read. Solid 4 stars for me. I'm not very experienced in reading mystery thrillers. I'm very new to the genre, so as opposed to many other booktubers who said this book was obvious, it wasn't obvious to me. I really loved reading it. My initial thought about the book was that this was going to be a bit slow because it's psychological and I might have problems understanding the text and getting into the story. It might get boring for me. And I thought it was only through the eyes of the psychotherapist. It also has entries of the diary she wrote that kind of give us a fresh point of view into the book, and I really thought that was well done. The characters in this book are real. They're not, decorated and adorned to fit in a publishable book. They're not people you want to root for. That made them very much more real for me, and I think it kind of increased my enjoyment of the book. So yeah, Silent Patient is very fast-paced. You get through it very fast. It's not boring at all. The plot twist was really good. I really like the plot twist. Towards the end, I kind of guessed that it's gonna be something along the lines of what happened, but I didn't see the whole picture. And when it came about, I was very much surprised. I was very much shocked. Also, this book has one of those endings that I wasn't like, okay, I read this book too, and I put it on my shelf. No, it was like I was very happy with the way things ended. The character arcs were complete. I really liked how we left things in that world and came out of the book. I really like that. I really recommend this book if you're interested. I forgot to tell you what it's about. Okay, it's about a woman, a painter, who one day shots her husband 5 times in the face and then never speaks again. We're seeing the story through the eyes of the psychotherapist who's trying to figure out why she doesn't talk. That's what this book is about. It's enough of a synopsis, I think. If this is interesting to you, if you think you're gonna enjoy this kind of story, I definitely recommend it. Definitely pick it up. This was a very good read. I'm not regretting it at all. Okay, the third book I finished in April is The Curse of the Bane. The second book in the Spook series, or the Last Apprentice series by Joseph Delaney. This book was not comparable to the first one. I read the first one very fast. It was very adventurous. It was very fun, simple, middle grade simple, you know what I mean? I flew through that one. This book dragged a little bit for me. I gave it 2.5 stars. Not because the story wasn't good. It was good. It was at that point where you don't know where we're going, and I really want to know if there's a bigger picture in store for us, or if it's just random fantasy adventures lined up in different books for us. I don't know which one of those this book is about. I really wanted to have a bigger picture kind of, at the end of the books. But I don't know if it's there, and that kind of slowed the reading process for me a bit. But it was still good. The book is about a boy named Thomas Ward. He's the 7th son of a 7th son, and that kind of gives him the ability to see and feel supernatural matters more than normal people do. So he goes on and becomes an apprentice to the spook, the local spook. And the second book was about Thomas going on a bigger adventure with the spook and learning new stuff and, getting tested. The story was fun. The story was good. That's all I'm saying, that it took me a while to read it. That's why I lowered the stars a little bit. It was still a good book. 2.5 for me. It's not a bad book. It's still good, but maybe I was not in the right mood for it. I was not in the mood for reading middle grade a little bit, because middle grade has that kind of simple resolutions to stuff. I wanted something more, so no fault to the book. I probably will continue with it with the whole series. I might read a few more of the books in the series to decide if I want to finish it, because it's a very long series, but not immediately. When I feel like reading middle grade, when I feel like something simple, I will pick it up to, be fair to the book. The next book I finished was The Cat Who Saved Books by Sôsuke Natsukawa. This book was very, very sweet. I gave this one 3.5 stars. It's a fairly short book, a little bit less than 200 pages. It's about a boy, Rintaro Natsuki, who loses his grandfather, and then he's left with the bookshop that his grandfather used to run. He's a bit depressed. So in comes the cat, the talking cat, Tiger, and he asks Rintaro to help him saving the books. They kind of go on bookish adventures together. That part of the story reminded me of The Little Prince a little bit. So if you enjoyed that type of story, you might enjoy this one as well. It's worth checking out, I think. This book talks about issues regarding books, regarding, where we're going in this world with books these days. The author wants to talk about that in in the form of a fun book, and I really thought that's valuable. Even though the problems are not something we don't know about, as someone who loves books, I already know the problems, the issues we have in our modern world regarding books. I'm aware, but it was still worth reading it. It was still worth seeing how this main character Rintaro goes about solving these issues, how he kind of tackles them, and the end message of this book about the meaning of books, why books matter, essentially. I thought that was very sweet, very well done. I liked how the main character puts it in the end. I like how he describes the meaning of books in his life for himself. I really recommend this if you're interested in the synopsis. It's a good book. It's very short. It doesn't take you much time. Go read it if you think it's interesting. Number 5 is, of course, One Piece. I'll put it here. The first volume. I read the first volume of One Piece in one sitting. It's manga. It's very short. You can do that. I get why people are obsessed with this manga series. The characters are downright lovable. We follow Luffy from the earliest chapters. It's his childhood, how he's trying to join this pirate crew and they refuse him, and he's getting angry about why they won't accept him, they won't let him into the group. I really loved that we had that part, the childhood part of Luffy squeezed into the manga. I really love that. The rest of the chapters in the first volume are about how he grows up and starts on this mission, and he wants to go and make a crew so he will find the One Piece, the treasure that pirates are looking for to become the Pirate King. But the main thing I really liked about Luffy is his character. He's warm, he's friendly, he's oblivious to social appropriateness, and he's very honest, he's very weird. I really like that mix in characters. He's a good person. The other characters introduced, I think we have Zoro and the girl. I don't right now remember her name because she was just introduced at the end, but we have Zoro. He has the potential to be one of my favorites. So at a certain point, Luffy goes to start on this mission, to start looking for One Piece. He's gathering the crew, and I really love that. I already talked about this in my reading blog. I really love that we're watching the story as at the very beginning, at the 0 point when Luffy doesn't have anyone, he's alone in his boat, and he's going on to recruit people and make a crew and make a pirate crew for himself. So yeah, I'll definitely be continuing with the One Piece. Obviously, it's very enjoyable, and yeah, I think it's gonna be a favorite of mine. Actually, I gave it 4 stars. The first volume I gave 4 stars, and I'm really happy I picked it up. I should have done it sooner. I mean, I wanted to read this manga for years, literally years. I wanted to read them because I wanted to watch the anime, and I stopped myself. I say I have to read the manga first. Yeah, so I finally did it. Now the last one I finished in April is The Lives of Saints by Lee Bardugo. This one was a collection of short stories happening in the Grishaverse. I also already talked about them in my reading vlog. I gave this book 3.5 stars. It was a good book. The only reason I'm not giving it higher stars because it took me so long to read it. It was probably the format of the book, short stories. I had to separate them, but I couldn't read 10 stories in one night. It just gets smushed together. I don't like that. So I dragged it out throughout the month. 2 weeks, 3 weeks it took me to read it. Maybe that was why I lowered the stars a bit. I don't know. I'm not used to reading collections of short stories. Some people really like them. I really like the stories. They're very dark. They're very moving. If you're interested in the Grishaverse, I think reading the religious text of that word is going to help you understand the people, the Rafkins, very much more. Not just the Rafkins, all of the people in Grishaverse, very much more. So yeah, it was a very fun experience for me. But also at the same time, Lee Bardugo talks about such horrible stuff happening in the books and happening in that world, and how people just, you know, pass through them and change their attitudes and make saints out of some poor people you were so cruel to, but later on they worship them as saints. Reading this book, I thought Lee Bardugo is doing an amazing job of making me believe this is an actual religious text in a certain universe. It read like that. It was, you know, nonchalant, detached. I really liked the way she did that. I really thought reading this kind of added more to my understanding of that world. I liked it. I gave it 3.5. The illustrations are very good. They kind of give life to the story more. It was a nice read. It kind of reminded me of another book. Hang on. Yeah, I got it. It kind of reminded me of this book. I know it's not a good comparison, but it reminded me of let me check the actual name. So I don't know French. This is a French book by Jean Tolly. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I have no idea when it comes to French. This is translated to Persian as human eaters, people eaters, something like that. Cannibalism, technically. I don't know what it is called in English. I'm gonna check it out and put it on the screen. Yeah, The Lives of Saints, some of the stories reminded me of this. This book is about how the mob, the angry people in the society can do horrible stuff. Very horrible stuff. I'm not recommending this book. It's a very dark book. If you want to read it, check all the trigger warnings because this is a horrible experience. I love this book, by the way, but it's very dark. It's very moving. If you decide to read it, please check the warnings. Check the check everything before you go into this. Yeah, this book is about how destructive people can be, how easily they can be deceived, how easily they can be pushed to do the wrong thing, actually. And it's loosely based on the truth. So yeah, this actually happened. That's why when I was reading The Lives of Saints, I thought, yeah, that's too horrible. People can't do that. But yes, they can. At certain times in history, we have these kind of incidents in different societies. We had them, unfortunately. And I think it's very important to be aware, to actually care about the right thing and not be swept up by the story going on in the society, not be swept up by what everyone is saying is the truth. Maybe it's not. Yeah, I'm finishing on a very dark point, so moving on from that, Lives of Saints was a good book, a very good book, all things considered. It was good. It happened in that board, and I think it was necessary to the story in general. I like how Lee Bardugo is writing additional little story to connect to her bigger world. I like that. And now I can finally move on and watch the season 2 of the show, which I haven't done yet, which is very weird. I hope it's good. I don't know what they've done with it, but things on the internet are not looking good very much. But I'm still gonna watch it. I'm still gonna see what happens. So I'm gonna give it a shot to the second season. So yeah, this was it. I finished 6 books in the month of April. I know I had 9 books on my TBR for this month, and I didn't get through all of them. I did start Mistborn Veil of Ascension in April, but I didn't finish it, obviously, so I pushed it to my May TBR, and I'm reading that currently. But yeah, it was a very fun reading month for me. 6 books is a good number for me. I wished I could do more, but yeah, April was very busy. I couldn't possibly do more. So overall, I had 3 4 stars, 2 3.5 stars, and 1 2.5 stars. Yeah, 1 2.5 stars. It was a good reading month. I'm very happy with the books I chose to read this month. So yeah, these are all the 6 books I read in the month of April. I was happy with it. Please tell me in the comment section which ones you have read, which ones you're planning to read. Tell me what you think. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.